Let's see if I can get... excuse me. Let's see if I can get the transition right. Let's see if I can get all this working again. It has been a while since I've been live. More on that later. But to start off with the big news, we have the 4.8 patch report has just dropped. And in it, there is some significant news. Not just for the future of Star Citizen, but for Squadron 42. And that is going to sound like a lot of hyperbole and how a lot of streamers like to start off their streams. You know me better than that, and you know that that's not what's going on here. We need to talk. Everything in the title is true. CitizenCon is cancelled, and Squadron 42, well, stay tuned. You'll see if you don't already know. If you do know, don't spoil it. Good afternoon, or evening, morning, good night to Nova, to Marcus, to Karagord, to Ashra, Viper Leo, Nero, and to Kurald. Welcome in to all of you and to whoever else is here. My apologies for not having been around for a while. It's been a crazy busy time with work. What normally happens with stuff like that is I end up losing a lot of sleep because I'm awake thinking about stuff, and, you know, I've got one of those jobs that tends to follow you home a little bit. And one of the downsides of that can be you end up kind of negative because you're always tired, and it's very easy to find problems and things you don't like when when you're tired. And rather than kind of go live and spread that negativity, I've decided to take a step back a little bit and just not stream. However, having seen at work today the contents of the 4.8 patch report, I can't not. This is kind of big. I think for a lot of us, we've been wondering what the intention was with Squadron 42. We are almost halfway through the year. We haven't had an announcement yet, and it turns out now we kind of have, or at least some sort of confirmation. So, Black Mage, welcome in. Good to see you. Nova, well, in that case, I hope that I make your morning a little brighter. What I'm going to do pretty much straight away is I'm going to take us over to the patch report. We'll start watching it together, and we'll stop off at relevant points. It has everything in here, from tactical strike groups to a whole bunch of ships, including a couple that we haven't seen, even with the sneak peeks. We found out which ships have hangar, repair, rearm, refuel stuff, and there's a whole bunch of news on what Star Citizen are bringing into the game for the rest of the year. So, let's jump across with the noise. Here's what we have. And I'm just going to hit play now. Let me know if you can hear it okay.
May is known for combat in the Star Citizen universe, or at the very least, celebrating the various combat vehicles that defend, destroy, or otherwise dominate the more adversarial aspects of life in the PU. And this year, we bring that to the forefront like never before with next week's publish of Alpha 4.8 and the long-awaited Tactical Strike Group's release.
Really excited for this, by the way. Really excited for this.
With Tactical Strike Groups, you and a select cadre of companions can pull together a small collection of ships designed to overcome a variety of mission objectives and achieve ultimate victory in our first dedicated, teamwork-designed, spaceship-based PvE combat release.
Once you get these fighters off us, I'll fill you in on the situation.
Here, you'll come to the aid of a valiant People's Alliance Idris that is locked in mortal combat with the Vanduul tech thieves calling themselves the Shattered Blade. You know, those same ones that you've been unknowingly chasing since you braved the Tempest and Stormbreaker about this time last year.
See, they said that, but we knew this was the Shattered Blade. We knew they were Shattered Blade since the Vanduul tech smuggler missions. You're not fooling anyone, Jared.
They've taken hostages and holed up in a previously abandoned and newly fortified extraction station. The mission: take out their forces, disable or survive the turrets,
Good hit. Nice work.
fly inside and bring down the power,
This looks so cool.
and then board the station and recover the hostage. Or, you know,
Hey,
extract them, because it used to be an extraction station. See? And of course, if you've already been testing on PTU or watching others on Twitch and YouTube, you know your troubles don't end there, because the massive Vandul Mauler
that thing looks terrifying.
is tired of these guys' and don't seem to care which humans are which. So bug out or stand your ground if you can. The choice is up to you. Tactical
That
Strike
looks
Groups
awesome.
is the most exciting step yet in realizing the fullest potential of Star Citizen's breadth of flyable combat ships. And like sandbox content such as Align and Mine, operations like Onyx Facilities and Rockcracker, events like Race for Stanton, or even Pyro's Contested Zones, Tactical Strike Groups is not a one-time release, but a new benchmark in the kinds of feature content that we can continue to build on for subsequent patches as we continue building out our universe on this journey to 1.0 and beyond.
And that's really important, is that it's not a one-time event. It's not something that you'll do once and that's it, unless you don't enjoy it, of course. And they're talking about that this is the sort of standard of events and things that they're going to have going forward. So that in itself is quite exciting, obviously, as long as it works, because I know there have been some issues with it during EVO, not really kept up with it during PTU. I want, again, once it comes to live, that's when I like to engage with this content, so we'll give it a go in live, and I'll let you know how it goes then, but that looks really interesting. McGruffus, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you.
Alongside this new content is a new feature that looks to change overall fleet gameplay in new and interesting ways, and that's the addition of ship hangar services, where select ships in 4.8 will be able to offer repairs, refueling, and rearming to any ship that lands in its bays.
And that's really important, because various times we've had people say rearm and refuel or repair and rearm. We haven't had confirmation that it's going to be all of those things, obviously, until it was in. But now that they've said this out loud, that's really important. That confirms that you get all three on the ships they're just about to cover.
Provided, of course, that they have the requisite stock sitting aboard. Now, it's great for obvious ships like the Idris and the Polaris, but it's also coming to the Carrack, the Starlancer Attack, and fancy ships like the 600i and 890 Jump. Now, of
I don't think we were expecting it on the TAC, so that's quite a nice touch as well.
course, I'm not suggesting you bring your 890 Jump into combat situations, but you could. And if you're like me, you would. And speaking of refueling, new refueling missions are arriving in Alpha 4.8, designed to help aspiring Good Samaritans begin their careers of helpful service to others.
Right, Griffiths, the 600 was a surprise. And this is a nice touch as well, because we've had refueling for a while, but it is so nice that they've actually put it in as a gameplay.
Now when NPCs take their eye
And
off the gauge,
missions
you
is
have
what I
new
meant.
opportunities to get them on their way once more. This is super useful for a ship like the Starfarer,
And
as well as this cute, adorable little guy you might recognize from its recent reveal on social media.
this is the Starlight.
Expecting the eyes to pop out like a Pixar car. No, not, yeah, that's better.
That's very cool.
Now, from new ships to one of our oldest, the Drake Caterpillar is finally getting its fabled command module
Woohoo!
functionality.
I don't
in the
own one, I'm
upcoming
just really
Alpha
excited.
4.8. With this, you can leave your ship planetside and scatter around while others unload, abandon unruly crewmates for their poor behavior, or smile as you discover a loophole in Drake's
Jamlack,
no
you're not allowed to
escape
do
pod
that.
mantra, and live to fight another day. It's also worth noting this command module is coming to 2 other vehicles launching in next week's patch.
That's very
Wonder
cool.
what those could be.
Oh, nice, Griffiths. Yeah, you'll
There's a
enjoy
host
that.
of new FPS items, including new plasma grenades for blowing things up,
Yes!
new
Plasma looks great.
G-force-resistant flight suits that daring pilots may want to consider over flying in bulkier armors all the
Bear
time.
that in mind later, because that's
And then
important.
the main event, the Novia crossbow. Now you can put a pin in bad folks, good folks, and anyone that just annoys you in style with this retro-inspired, futuristic death dealer. And then, of course, there's our co-main event. A big ship combat release like Tactical Strike Groups may...
Yeah, so, yes. So we were expecting Ironclads together. or at least I was. But we're going to go through this because they're going to show a bunch of ships, including one we knew that was coming. We hadn't seen up until now, as far as I'm aware. The shark with friggin' laser beams. So stand by. We'll look at each of these in turn.
Highlight a few gaps in your fleet. Well, CitizenCon is here to fill your holes.
I can't even.
After Invictus went home to Sol, CitizenCon is stepping up to
Ironclad.
celebrate the everyday heroes who truly make the universe a better...
And basically the current model versions of strippers on poles. This is how Drake roll. There we go. Lysergic, yeah, bear with us. We're coming up to that, my friend. I'm gonna show you that in a second.
...in safer place, and maybe without the stuffy heavy-handedness of the UEE Navy. That means fire and attitude as CitizenCon presents the latest in combat spec. And since...
Yeah, so Lysergic, apologies, I think I mispronounced your name earlier. Something you need to bear in mind here is they're about to say it. So this isn't me guessing. This isn't extrapolation. Everything that I put on the title and on the thumbnail is in this video. So stay tuned. This is important.
We're in the middle of CitizenCon Reveal Week on social media. Let's take a look at some of the ships on offer during this year's event.
Okay.
The Drake Pitbull.
The Drake Pitbull. This thing has 6 guns. They don't look very big. This thing's actually smaller than a Fury.
With more guns than common sense, perhaps.
There you
the
go.
Origin M80.
And this is really important because it looks like when we go here, it actually has 2 guns on each side. Previously, we saw 1 gun on each side. So it looks like it's got more firepower.
Starlight saying, not all heroes blow things up.
Misc Refueler that's coming as well.
The Aegis Tiburon.
And this thing. The Aegis Tiburon. This is the Hammerhead adjacent beam ship that looks, I'm just going to go out there and say that, incredible.
Aegis Tiburon, which, I'm just going to say it, it's a shark with a frickin' laser beam on its head. And then, of course, the fatter player and the Iron Chad Assault from Drake.
You're not way too late, Eve. No, you're not, mate. Welcome in, everyone. It's good to see you all. You look incredible. Thanks, mate. I know I don't, but you lie well, sir. Thank you very much. And so here's the interesting bit. We talked about the F8 fitting in. I know these are only the Bulldogs, which we don't kind of know are, their exact dimensions. But this, to me, is looking big enough, potentially, to get your F8 in there. Obviously, don't quote me on that.
Assault from Drake. The latter of which is getting the same hangar services we discussed before, and all things working out like they should. Both will be coming to PTU on Monday, May 11th, for existing owners to fly first.
There we go. And this is... There we go. So there's 2 things I like here. Is that these vertical-looking launch missile system things that I don't know what they do, but they look cool. Installing PTU, yeah, exactly that. The other thing that, if you missed that there, because I paused it kind of halfway through, the Ironclad Assault will be getting the hangar repair, rearm, refuel ability as well. It doesn't have the arms.
Monday, May 11th, for existing owners to fly first.
Doesn't have the tractor beam arms that get in the way.
Of course,
so that's
there's
cool.
One more ship making its concept debut at CitizenCon this year. And that's the Anvil Odin battlecruiser. Now, not much has been revealed at this point beyond, yes, it really is twice the size of the Javelin.
Pause. It's not twice the size of the Javelin. It's twice the internal space of the Javelin. And that's not the same thing. Because if you double the length and the width and the height of the Javelin, you end up with a lot more internal space than double the Javelin, right? think about it simply, right? If I've got a 1x2 block and I add that on top, that's one thing. If I double the width and the length, I've now got a 4x2 block. You get the point, right? It's just, again, they're not being quite careful with what they say, so don't expect something that's double length, double the height, double the width of the Javelin. That's not what we're getting. Not yet, anyway.
But you can get 3 different first glimpses of it tomorrow, May 8th, in the weekly newsletter, social media, and even in the PTU, if you know where to look.
That's Odin in the PTU, and that's the clue. I'm sure someone in here will know where that is. Guys, if you do know where the Odin's going to be, let people know. Yeah, exactly that, Curled. So yeah, how about, if you know where that is, feel free to drop it in chat. Where the Odin's going to be, I'm sure it'll be
CitizenCon
interesting.
really is holding nothing back this year, unlike those stuffy UEE folks.
IO North Tower. Ooh.
They do it right.
Right, while he mucks around with this, but yeah, so IO North Tower, you reckon? Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, and we're about to come up upon the really important point, so stand by.
So it's easy to see that there's a lot going on in 4.8. And like 4.7 before it, this also extends to the weeks after release, with additional Defend location missions coming in 4.81,
Nice.
some Alien Week festivities in 4.82, and
Nice.
if you haven't heard, the return of Xenothreat in 4.83.
Xenothreat with these changes is going to be really interesting and cool with ships with, now that we have the address that we can bring ourselves, not just the stolen one that we stole off the NPCs, all that sort of stuff. That's going to be really cool to do it now with the Polaris and everything. That's going to be tasty. I can't wait to bring the Persis. Kill stuff.
These guys just really don't care for those pro-alien celebrations. Kind of. All in all, next week's patch is chock full of content that'll carry us through to 4.9 in July, all led by TSG and DefenseCon. And in that new DefenseCon spirit of sharing things early, let's carry that over and talk about the rest of 2026 for a bit.
Right, we're talking about the rest of 2026. For the people that have been waiting for the title and the thumbnail, pay attention, this is where we go. Buckle yourselves in, boys and girls. This is a ride and a half.
Now, throughout the remainder of this year, we intend to deliver the newly reworked and fully instanced debut of Siege of Orison, the new Genesis-built planets of the Nyx system, Starware and Starchitect goodness,
Starware and Starchitect by the end of the year. Starchitect. Bear that in mind, we're coming back to that.
the enormous multi-staged instance municipal works operation, a whole bunch of new ships and vehicles and additional gameplay features and quality of life improvements.
So, that is also staged instancing. So the instancing, the municipal works around Levski, this is the stuff where you're going to go in, you're going to progress, you're going to leave, and when you come back, you pick up where you left off. Is the intent at the moment. So that's instancing plus. It's not just, hey, go defeat this dungeon every time. It's come back, it's raiding, basically. Come back to a raid where it knows where you are, and the instance may change slightly. New areas open up depending on the stages that you've completed up until now, which is cool.
There's an Apex $7 card that can literally pop its head out at any moment.
And that's cool because it means that the Valakar will be more emergent than an event you go and trigger. You might be doing something completely unrelated and have that thing jump up and scream at you.
And of course, as if anybody could forget, Squadron 42.
Squadron 42 by the end of the year. Which we knew because they said 2026. But since then it's been going quiet, and certain people that I don't like and other people that I don't mind have been going, it's been delayed, they haven't said anything. One in particular jumped on a recent press release or interview with Chris Roberts to say that this is categorically Squadron 42 not coming. Lies. Stop misleading people, you gimp. No, I'm not confirming who that's aimed at, and no, it's not one of the big stream. I'm not aiming this at Salty Mike, for example. That's not who I'm aiming that at. You know who you are. So there's that, and then here's the next bit.
There's a lot we got going on for the remainder of this year. And for that reason, we've made the decision not to host a CitizenCon event for 2026, either in person, digital, direct, or otherwise.
There you go. So no CitizenCon at all. No direct one, no online, no shortened 2-hour, blah, 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 blah. Nothing is coming this year in terms of an in-person meetup.
It's a decision born out of how important these two games are to everyone on both sides of these projects. And while we'll certainly miss getting to meet so many of you at once, we do encourage you to check out the Bar Citizen World Tour that's well underway, because we always enjoy every opportunity we get to meet you and hear your stories. For instance, I'm going to Amsterdam in a couple weeks. Come find me and tell me how your TSG experiences went. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. As always, thank you for letting us share the people and process of game development with you. And we'll see you here next week at DefenseCon.
Now, I'm gonna let you guys into a little secret, okay? And this is not going to be a secret for the people who are constantly in the Discord, link to which, by the way, is down in the description below. Here we go. It will be no big surprise that right at the moment, with everything that's going on with work and everything else, I've not found a lot of time, and I've certainly not made a lot of time for Star Citizen. This announcement has really energized me bizarrely. And yes, sure, not having Squadron 42 is a bit of a kick in the teeth, right? Not a kick in the teeth. It's a bit of a disappointment. That's what I'll say. It's a bit disappointing to not have Squadron 42 this year. Stop it. It's a bit disappointing not to have CitizenCon this year. That's what I meant to say. But the trade-off being that Squadron 42 is delivered, then I'm all right with that. It's long been, I think, the opinion of a lot of people that CitizenCon has a disproportionate impact on game development within Star Citizen and Squadron 42. I think Star Citizen, or CIG, basically themselves have made a pretty much similar comment, right? So, earlier on, I forget who it was, Black Mage, was it yourself, talking about a pillar of the community engagement at meetups. That's definitely the biggest one. So yes, it's a bit of a shame that we've lost that. But that's where we are, okay? Yeah. Freudian slip, you must wear star kit and gear for tomorrow. Absolutely not. Not even a little bit. So there we go. Lysergic, hopefully that answers your question, my friend. No CitizenCon, the trade-off being that Squadron 42 definitely this year. I think that works. I would really like to see some sort of event, because I'd love to go, right, around the release of Squadron 42. I'd also really like to see some sort of collector's edition, something that people can buy and have some sort of... I think I've got it down here, actually. So I'm one of those Muppets. It's not charged at the moment, but I'm one of those Muppets that went and got the Starfield collector's edition. So I've got the watch that goes with it, and it's not in its charging dock at the minute, so I can't switch it on, but it does all the stuff that the one in the game does in terms of like keeping track of oxygen and temperature and air pressure and that sort of stuff. So that's really cool. I'd love something like that for Squadron 42 as well, but we'll see. Hey Jabba, so yes, we're not getting CitizenCon. SquadCon, no word. Hopefully there'll be a launch event. It would be really cool to have something red carpet. I'd happily attend. Let's face it, they're not going to invite me as a content creator because I'm not big enough. But I would love to go and do something with, and go and see and attend that. That would be awesome. So yeah, and yes, socially we're gonna go for that as well. So I'll cover that in just a second. But you're right, there are Twitch drops for the duration of DefenseCon. It's not ILW anymore. Why do you do this to us, CIG? You changed the names, and I'm like, I don't remember. So there we go. Okay, so to recap then, everything that we've seen, we are getting Starchitect, Starware, and Starcloth this year. We're getting instancing, we're getting Xenothreat back, we're getting Municipal Works, Siege of Orison, we're getting Rearm Repair Refuel in the next patch, loads of ships, a crazy amount of ships coming just at DefenseCon, let alone the rest of the year. There's so much happening that it's a little bit hard to believe that it's all going to come this year. We're talking about the rest of the Genesis planets added to the Nix system. And when you think about it, we've got July, September, November, and that's it for the rest of the month, the rest of the year. We've because they said a patch every 2 months, right? Someone check my math on that. But that means that basically we've got 3 planets in Nix. We've got the gas giant, we've got the Deathworld planet, and we've got the kind of partly terraformed, beautiful biomes planet, which basically means we now need, if we're not going to get 2 in one patch, we need 1 per patch for the rest of the year. Maybe we'll get something at December. So there we go. Have they separated out Squadron 42 this year? Is it not bundled with the PU? So it was separated out some time ago. They stopped selling them together in like 2015, 2016. They have not sold Squadron 42 for some time, and now if you have it in your buybacks, it is unavailable for purchase. So it's going to happen again, but yeah, that's unfortunate. A major patch every 2 months. We're getting the X patches more often. Yes, we are indeed. Yeah, absolutely. Although I would imagine, I might be wrong, but I would imagine the planets will come with the major patches and not the point patches. Though, no reason they can't be delayed into them, I guess. But yeah, so there we go. So that's that. And the one, I think the stealth thing in there that actually quite surprises me. I'm going to put this on in the background, and just not have the sound on it. But the one that actually quite surprises me is this one. So this in the background is Starchitect. And Starchitect, I think, is going to be one of those things that has a crazy... It is a video playing, I promise. It's just he's talking over the top, right? I'll skip forward a bit. There we go. So Starchitect is this procedurally generated but curated method of putting locations on planets. So they'll create an area, maybe, I don't know, 40, 50 kilometers wide, and go, okay, this is a mining area, and you'll find all little bits, things, and they'll all be themed towards mining. Maybe they'll have mining related loot, minerals, that sort of stuff. And this will generate huge amounts of locations across a planet. And they show you that a little later on. They show you the kind of idea of what they're going for. And this is massively going to change how people play the game, because this then becomes, you're just flying around and you randomly find something and you're like, oh, this is like a Xenos tech area, you know, like an alien tech area. So I'm just gonna have a look around, see what I can find. Maybe we find one of the, you know, Banu cubes. Maybe we find this, that, and the other, and that's going to be really, really cool. But we've seen very little of the Starchitect stuff. We've seen like the assets they're going to use, but for that to suddenly be, hey, this is going to be at the end of the year, even if it's in a limited basis, that's really quite exciting. So that's cool. So do I still have it as part of the Kickstarter? Yes. So if you own it and you haven't melted it, it will still be in your hangar. If you've melted them into your buybacks and you haven't bought them back, you've lost access to them and you'll need to buy it fresh. So that's a bit of a frustration, but there we go. Brian Havoc, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. I'm lucky enough to have Squadron 42 through my concierge level hangar item in the game, for that matter. Exactly that. So I've got the concierge one. I've also got a game package, which I'll probably be gifting around about the launch of Squadron 42 to people in here. What I might actually do is I might get people to message me, and what we'll do is we'll we'll get someone on stream, someone who's deserving, someone who doesn't own the game, just a little bit of thing we can do to help someone out and make their life a little bit brighter, to gift them the game and get them into enjoying it. I think that would be better than some random giveaway that I advertise and put in thumbnails and titles, and then a bunch of people turn up, win it, it's not one of you guys, or it's no one related to you, and then they leave and never come back. And that's what seems to happen with a lot of giveaways. So we won't do that. So yeah, there we go. So I'm just going to fast forward it. So this is basically a visual representation of how the locations in Starchitect are going to work. So you've got these little locations, right? And that's however many that is. 13, right? So that's all grouped up and they will all be related to each other, right? And then what happens is that will happen all over the planet. You'll have mining outposts and caves and fobs and distribution centers, and basically this just keeps zooming out. So we looked at the distribution center, you've got fobs. Each of the fobs will be taking stuff from mining outposts. The mining outposts will all be drawing out of caves, and so on and so forth. And then basically what happens after that is so there'll be lawful clusters, unlawful clusters, and as that happens, here you go. There's your fobs, your mining outposts around the distribution centers. And as you continue to zoom out, and as you continue to look at an area on a planet, 120 points of interest, right? So these are the derelict outposts, and these are the mining areas and the caves and everything else. And as you zoom out, this is what it's going to look like. And this is cool, because now you're talking big numbers of locations on a planet. So scattered enough that you still have nice big wide areas where you don't encounter anything, or you have quasi-grazers or Marocs or whatever else. And then you talk huge amounts of points of interest. And that, I think, is almost the number of points of interest we had in Stanton by itself. So this is going to be crazy. Starchitect is going to be something else entirely. And maybe I'll do a video on it and we'll go into a little bit more, because this is a long old section of this video, and we'll have a look at exactly like what it contains and maybe pop that out a little bit later on. Depending on whether or not that's something you guys want to do, or want to see rather. We need to send you to the next bar, citizens, so you can get access to the latest information too. Maybe not Japan, though. I'm going to have a look. If there's not a CitizenCon, all of a sudden bar citizens make more sense, because they do. The other thing we're looking at doing is DGP are looking at getting together at some point in person and doing something non-game related. Maybe we can link the two. Maybe we can do some of that and bar citizen all together. Don't know. I'll have a chat with the DGP guys and we'll see what we'll do, because that's the whole point, right? It's to get people together and to, kind of link up, go do in-person meets and that sort of stuff. And exactly as Black Mage was saying, get together, see how things are happening, and meet each other and all that sort of stuff. You forgot that we also got new planets for those architecture. Yeah, exactly. So the 3 planets in Nyx by the end of the year. That's what we're talking about in terms of the 3. We've got 3 major patches left after 4.8 for this year. So, yeah. Exploration and mapping will be absolutely key. Time for my character shine. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of exploration gameplay. And dare I say the word, emergent, as in you're flying around and you find something which naturally wants to lead you on to something else. So you find a mining area with some very valuable kind of and high quality gems or whatever, and you're like, well, this is coming from caves locally, so maybe that's connected, so you go into the caves and all that sort of stuff, and all that will happen without contracts or waypoints, or you're just going to do that yourself, which is kind of cool. So yeah, but CitizenCon, like I was saying, it's not so much of a surprise. But Squadron 42 being reaffirmed for this year, bearing in mind now, we can't be much more than 6 months from release, at worst case, right? Because 6 months puts us in the beginning of November. You'll want a bit of a lead time before Christmas if you're going to release it. So less than 6 months to go. There's no inkling of a delay. There's no inkling of a pushback to next year. And with 6 months to go, they can't have that much left to do. Fingers crossed, touch wood. So yeah, Squadron 42 coming is quite exciting. I can't wait to give it a go. And then loads of new ships. And what I will try and do next week, if I can, if the changes in times have followed British summertime, So if we're going to get releases at 5 o'clock in the afternoon rather than 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then I will be able to scoot home from work just in time to live stream each change of day and be here with you guys to walk through it. We'll definitely look at the Odin when that comes, and if not, if I'm not able to stream on the days, we'll definitely have a look on the Sunday live stream, 9 p.m. UK time, British summer time now, so it's UTC +1. Yeah, we'll give it a go. We'll have a look, but I couldn't let today's news go without talking to you guys about it, because I think that's absolutely huge. Squadron 42, no CitizenCon, and some major releases coming by the end of the year. My Christmas will be lost to Squadron 42, the way things are looking, said Jabba. 100%. I cannot wait. And the fact that it has full VR support, I can't wait to put the Crystal Light to a bit more use and experience it through that as well. Hopefully there'll be a rig upgrade coming at some point in the near future, which will make VR just that much more manageable for the system and doable. But of course there'll be videos on that. If you're interested in Pimax, then there's links in the description down below. Take a look. There's an affiliate code or an affiliate link and a code that will get you a discount on their premium VR stuff. There is also a link to the upcoming RSI Scorpius model from Pigeon Spaceport, which I cannot wait to get my hands on. I'll be doing an unboxing once that appears. And at some point in the near future, although it's not going to happen within the next 6 weeks, at some point in the near future, I will be moving. So there will be a gap in content. There will be a cap in a pause in stuff whilst I relocate to another part of the country. But I'm looking forward to taking you guys on a journey and building up the man cave, because that's part of the point that I'm doing this, is obviously to own a house, right? But a man cave, well, what's the point? If you're going to move, have a man cave. So there we go. SCVR is amazing, absolutely. Did they let you keep the VR system in the end? So I've got it a little bit longer for some more videos. What I don't have, I'm not keeping it. It's not a gift. So it's a loan that I'll keep for as long as I make content about it and stuff. I've already agreed that with Pimax. They're very happy with the video that we put out. So yeah, we'll go. Thank you very much, Socially. Yeah, it's being a bit of a fight, and there is still a way to go yet. There's still some stuff to come back, but yeah. There you go. Man house, you mean? Absolutely, German. That's 100% what's going on. But that's where we are at the moment. That's all the stuff that is going on in the news. You know where the 4.8 patch report is. That's the video that we've just watched, or we watched first. We had a little bit of the StarkTech playing in the background. And I am looking forward to seeing you all again for the Sunday stream, because I'm refreshed now, picking up again, so we'll be having a look at that and more on Sunday, and I will attempt my absolute best to make sure that I'm around for the changes in each day in Drake Defense Con. More about that on Sunday. You've been watching Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.